So today we'll be setting up the Connect Trilogy super tent, which will sleep 6 people. We've got 3 connects here, 1, 2 and 3. We're going to need 4 straps. Trilogy always comes with 9 straps anyway, so we're not going to use 5 of them today, and we'll get on and show you how to set up a Trilogy. So the first thing to do, just like with any Tentsile tent, is to get your straps around the tree. The tail end goes through the loop, and then bring the rest through. And you can use the diameter of the tree actually to get a best angle. So if your best angle is off the side of the tree, you'll find out that soon enough. But you've got a bit of play on a tree that's the width of this, because you can come off the far side or the near side or the center. And then we lay out our tents. So when you get your Trilogy set, it will come with 3 carabiners, and each carabiner will have one of these sockets. It's a pole socket on a elastic bungee. So I'm going to put one on each carabiner like this. And then what you do is you take each one and you connect your connects like that. Carabiner in between with the plastic pole socket facing up and towards you. And then, as usual, I'm going to take the ratchet and attach it to the tail by putting the tail of the ratchet through the tail D-ring of the tent. Ratchet buckle goes through the loop and pull it tight. Then take your strap, feed it through your fingers so there's no twists in it, through the spindle in the ratchet, and then pull out all the slack so that the tail just comes off the ground a little bit, and then 3 or 4 cranks just so the strap is nicely bit. It bites itself around the spindle. And now I'm going to walk around and make sure that everything, so each of the tails should be pretty much directly down the line of the center of your connect. Now I can see that this side is lower than that side, which means that there's slack along this long side here, which means that that tail is probably too short and the whole thing's got to come this way a little bit. But before I move anything, I am going to just ratchet things up, because it may move this way naturally when I tighten it. So I want to equalize that. At the moment it's dipping at the far end, so I am going to open the ratchet and release it by about a foot, and then we'll go again. And now you can see that the 3 tents are lying a lot more evenly. This end is still a little bit looser, but I think if I tighten that one, it should bring this side up. So that's starting to look quite good. Right, now we can start putting in the poles and making these tents look like tentsiles. So Come around here. And feed the poles through the sleeves. And then, doesn't matter, you just push it out the other end and then you fit it into the socket. We've got 3 different types of sockets going on at the moment. I think I'll be able to show you each type we've got in circulation at the moment on this film, I hope. Push your pole straight through the sleeve all the way to the end, and then beyond that and back into there, and then come around the other side of it, and then you can take the far ends of the poles and push them in and fit them into their corresponding sockets. And up goes the top. This is the other socket type I was talking about. So again, feed the pole through the sleeve all the way till you've got maybe just a foot or one section poking out, and then into the socket there. So one in there and one in there. Lift and push them both together and then into the sockets. This is a model with the blind ends, and I'll show you what I mean. So it doesn't have a plastic socket, it's got a sort of yellow cup, and around the other end, well, around the other side, you'll see that instead of it coming to a plastic socket, it comes to a blind end in the pole sleeve, yellow blind end. So right now, the strongest or the most tensioned part of the tent are the tails nearest the trees. So if you were to sleep with your head at this end, your head would actually be lower than your feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to use one more strap to bring the tension force straight down the center line of each connect, and we're going to connect up all of the connects at the front, so that you can sleep the right way up in your connect. So you take your loop, put it through the D-ring, and then take the tail through as normal. Take it around to the next D-ring, and then you can take the tail, find the sort of central point there between all 3, and take your last ratchet here and pass the ratchet through the loop and girth both of those together, and take the tail of your long strap through the last connect D-ring and back up and into the ratchet. And you can see the fronts of each of the connects starting to rise, and that is much stronger. So my preference, so that everybody's comfortable, because even with the central tensioning strap, if everybody's lying with their heads towards the center, there will always be a little bit of sag towards the middle. So I just get a stick that's about the right size, prop it up under the center of the strap there, and then that means whichever tent you're in, your head will never be lower than your feet. So that's pretty much perfect. So best way to put a fly sheet on, in my opinion, is find the tail. You'll recognize the tail because it's the only place where 4 pieces of fabric come together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see these 3 seams coming together in the middle. That's a tail. I'll attach the toggle into the loop underneath the tent. Toggle through loop. And then the bungeed hook goes through the D-ring and comes to meet those things. And then just run your hand down one of the sides all the way until you come to a corner, and that corner, just hold on to it, pass it over the corner of the tentsile, and then you can whip it over and secure it in the same way. So toggle and loop, bungee through the corner and come to meet them. I'd suggest you peg out all of the wings to give you good ventilation inside each of the connects. So peg this one out to there and peg this one out to there. So you'll probably need 6 good pegs to get them all out. And now I'll show you how to do the central canopy. This is what the central canopy will consist of. 3 times 5 lengths of pole with a central widget and a fly sheet. So once you've got your poles straight, each of the ends of the poles needs to go perpendicular to the central piece and slots in. So 1, 2, and then the last one goes in there like that. Then they can go into the sockets. I'm gonna have to come round, aren't I? Mr. Cameraman's got his hands full. So 1. There's one sure way of making sure that your fly sheet is the right way round. If you look for the seam tape, that's always on the inside of the fly. On the outside of the fly, there isn't any. So you've got seam tape there, no seam tape on the outside. You position the net triangle over the central hatch and then clip it in with the C-clips onto the poles. 1, 2, 3. So that locates it. And then at each end you'll find a tie, which you can just tie onto the D-ring with a bow. So where you don't have the ties, you have bungees with hooks on the longer corners. And what you do is you bring it underneath with you and grab the next one and pull them both backwards and take the corner bungee on each side and pulling them sort of backwards towards the tail a little bit. Then you can just fasten them together like that under each of the connect bodies. And then got to get that fitted just nicely over the pole arch. So up and over the front of the pole arch, just stretch it out, go around the other side and even it out. You don't really want to be putting your Trilogy up too high because you can see that might be a pain in the backside to do that, but essentially it's done now. So you've got loads and loads of living space under here. If you undo the toggle and loop, but leave the hook from the corner and the toggle together, it frees up the front edge of your fly sheet. So I'm going to do that on each one of these, and you'll see why in a sec. Just free up the front side and connect the other two. That one's done. Oh, this one's not. Okay. Then what you can do is take the bungee at the front of all of your connects. Bring them up and over your central dome. Make sure they're all nice and even. And then just tie it off with a easy knot. And that will keep all of your Connect porches open.